Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Oh, wow. 8 lines from the bottom. Lametesam Beis, 8 lines from the bottom. Rav Nachman Kilatona the Beir Shmuel. Rav Nachman says that a beged that's not made out of tzemer or pishtim. We were talking about silk clothing, potter from tzitzis. Where did he get this from? Rav Nachman Kilatona the Beir Shmuel, the Tana Beir Shmuel. So this, we're going to see there's 2 Tanaim that learned in the yeshiva of Yishmael, and each one said the opposite. One says, Hoyel v'nemru b'Torah, Hoyel v'nemru begodim b'Torah stam. It says the word beged a bunch of times in the Torah. It says by tzitzis, it says by tumah, it says by tziras, but it doesn't say what a beged is. Clothing. Uparat lucha kosuv be'echad mehem tzemru pishtim. In one of them, it describes what it is. So let's take a look at this pasuk. It says the word v'habeged. What does habeged mean in this pasuk? The first word of this pasuk, mem zayin, v'habeged. What does it mean? It's a klal. What does klal mean? Any type of beged, polyester, cotton, spandex, whatever it is, silk, everything, wool, pishtim, linen. And then all of a sudden it says, bebeged semer or bebeged pishtim. We're not even going to, this is it. I'm going to say it once and we're over with that sugya. So if you have trauma from the stuff, too bad. It's called a klal and then a prat. It's very general, vahabeg at any type, and then there's a prat. It describes exactly what it is. What do we say in Karbanis every single day? Klalu prat, aimba, klal, elamashiyesh. In other words, the prat describes what the klal is. There's no way out of it. Now we know what beged means. Beged means semer upishtim. Okay, so now we're done with that. Done with klalu prat for the rest of the day, for the rest of the Masechta maybe. Who knows? So there's a klal prat. Hoyel v'nemru begodim b'Torah stam. Now other places it doesn't say what beged is, but here it describes what a beged is. It's semer pishtim. I've called semer pishtim. Now what is this? This is another one of the rules. If I learn something over here, I take that idea from here and I put it over there. What is that called, Rabbi Isai? Memetzino. What else? Very good. What else? Binyanav. Binyanav. Memetzino, let's call it Memetzino, it's easier to remember. Memetzino, just like over here, beged means Semur Pishtim, so too, by tzitzis and by everything else, Semur Pishtim. Omer Abayo, okay, great. And Memela what? So what just came out? Their voice says, it says in the Torah, beged by tzitzis, so it means if you have wool or linen clothing, then you chai b'tzitzis. If you have silk, you're potter from tzitzis. Potter, finished. There's another Tana that learned in the same yeshiva. He came out with a different pshat completely. The Tana Be'er Shmuel, beged. It says by tzaras again, beged. Ein le'ela beged semer, minayin le'rabbi semer gemalim. Now, what is wool? There's only one wool, one, and that is the wool of a sheep. If you take wool of a goat, it's not wool. There is no shatnez if you take linen and mix it with the wool of a goat or the hair of a camel. It could be called wool from today to tomorrow, but it's not wool. It's called semer gemalim, the wool of a camel. It's not wool. It's the hairs of a camel. V'tsemer arnovim. That's what we make our felt hats from. The hair of a rabbit. V'noitza shalizim. It sounds like the feathers. It means that they're plucked. Like you don't shear it with some device. You pluck it out of the goat and you make wool from it. V'aklach v'asrikim v'ashiroin. These are the 3 things that we learned yesterday. There are different grades of silk. Minayin, how do you know they chayv b'tzitzis? Talmud loymar oy beged. So he comes out with a whole different pshat, the opposite pshat. It comes out that according to this Tana of Rabbi Shmuel, you chayv and tzitzis on any type of garment. End the story, and that's the end of Daf Lametes on the base. Now holding a new sugya in Daf Mem Omer Aleph. Givaldik is sugya here. Torah Rabbanon, Sadam tzitzis. You have a linen garment. Is linen chayv and tzitzis? Now, don't forget, this blue string called chelas can only be made out of one material and one material only. Out of wool. That's it. So if you have a linen garment and you insert this string into the linen garment, you automatically have shatnez. Says Beishamai, you're not allowed to put the blue string into a linen garment. You want to use tchelas, put it into your other garment, put it into a wool garment, but not into a linen garment. That's Shitas Bishamai. Sadin Bitzitzis, Sadin means a linen garment. Bitzitzis, we're talking about the tchelis here. Interesting. So I just realized this now. The whole sugya, when it mentions kemat the whole time, when it says the word tchelis, it refers to tzitzis. And now when it says the word tzitzis, it means tchelis. Go figure. Okay? It's not confusing, but we'll see. Over here, tzitzis means the tchelis part. Because, of course, if you wear a linen garment, of course you have to put on tzitzis. Put linen tzitzis. Just do not put on the wool tzitzis, because that will be shatnez. What's the argument over here? Bishami agreed to the concept called esed doicha lois esed. Everybody agrees that a positive commandment, an asay, overrides the negative commandment, the lois asay. The argument over here is smuchim. Since the parsha of tzitzis and shatnez go together, so we still say there is no concept of shatnez. Don't worry about shatnez. It doesn't exist in this case. The Torah is hinting to you, don't worry about shatnez. If you wear a linen garment, you can insert the blue strings made out of wool, even though typically in another occasion it will be shatnez. Not today. There's no shatnez by tzitzis. Why? Because they're smuchim. They're very close to each other, the parashas. Bishami say, we don't believe in smuchim. In general, the rest of the Torah, there's esed doicha esed. But guess what? Nobody asked you to wear a linen garment. You don't have to wear a linen garment. Wear a wool garment. You're hot, you're cold, wear a wool garment. Nobody told you to wear this linen garment that you're forced to wear the tchelis tzitzis in it, which are wool, and then you have a problem with shatnez. If you're up against, you have to do a carbon pesach, and there's no choice, and you're over iser, you're tame. So then there's this doicha whatever it is. I just threw out a bad example, but in this case, you can't tell me, I have no choice. You do have a choice. Go to the store, buy a wool garment. That's Shitas Bishamai. And today, we're going to try to see why. What's the problem? What's the problem with Bishamai? Different ideas, what could be the problem? We still mechayvim, and we still say that in this case we have smuchim, and therefore esed doicha lois asay. The aveira of shatnez gets pushed away because of the great mitzvah of tzitzis, which we saw yesterday in Rashi. I think I showed you guys in Rashi. That tzitzis is shakal ketariag mitzvahs, because tzitzis equals 400. 600, because the tuff itself is 400 plus 90 and 10 is 100, 90 and 10 is another 100. So you have 100 plus 400, 600 plus the 5 knots and the 13 strings. 8 strings plus 8 plus 5 is 13. Boom. You have 613. Great. Basil say you're chayv and tzitzis. Interesting. Why does it say v'halachi de Basil? We know there's a concept in all of Shas that Allah is like Basil. You hardly will ever see the Gemara tell you, and by the way, that Allah is like Basil. We know that Allah is like Basil. The reason is because of the upcoming Gemara. It's controversial. If you wear shatnez in Yerushalayim, you wear the blue strings in a linen garment in Yerushalayim. People will stare at you. They'll look at you. Yeah. If you wear tchelis today in Yerushalayim, you're not mainstream. They're gonna look at you. They might even throw something at you. You never know. Oh my Rebbe, Imkain. So ask Rebbe, I don't understand something. If the halacha is like Beis Hillel, that you wear tchelis in your linen garment, lama saru. So what's the issur? And that's what we're going to struggle with today. What's the problem? Beis Hillel say wear tchelis, and we passing like Beis Hillel. So wear tchelis. Lefi she'ein b'kiyim. People don't know about the smuchim. They don't realize. It's interesting. Like we take things for granted. We know these halachas generations. People didn't know that you could wear shatnez on your tzitzis. That's not a very good excuse. Take 10 Talmidei Chachamim, give them tchelas, let them walk around in the street, and people will know right away. People know that it's mutter to wear shatnez in your tzitzis. Says the Gemara, ask the Gemara of Elizabeth. So one of the Gdolim should get up in a massive setting. You have hundreds of people, and he'll say, Rabbi Isai, you're allowed to wear shatnez with...
Just here.
you're allowed to wear tzitzis in a linen beged because the Torah is not makbid on shatnez when it comes to tzitzis. Not that you're allowed to wear shatnez in general. It says the Gemara, Gzeira mishum kali ilan. Oh, so finally we're talking about kali ilan. Kali ilan is indigo. Something like this, just as l'saber so'enayim. Up until about 100 and something years ago, there was no blue in nature. You can't create a blue dye. The only way to create a blue dye was through indigo and the chilazim. Those are the things. Other colors were much easier to come by. The reds, the this. Blue, super difficult. So they would make this thing called, it's kala ilan. Till this very day, they have a process of making it. It's not very popular anymore because you could get it for real cheap. You get a synthetic dye. But this is how they produce blue. It's called kala ilan. Now, if you are a shtickle of a bandit, you would, instead of going and scuba diving and coming up with a couple of chilzainos and making dye, you just do indigo and you paint it and you sell it off as tchelis. And you sell it, it's a lot of money, 240 shekel a pair. It's geshmak of money. So the concern is that somebody passed off tzitzis that are dyed with the fake. They're fake. And memela, you're not mekayim the mitzvah of tchelas, and you just put in wool into your linen garment. Wool that's not the mitzvah. The mitzvah is tchelas, and you put in non-tchelas tzitzis. And that's a big problem. Now you're over in chatnas. So we said, if you have a linen garment, do not put any tchelas, because it's common. People pass off the kala ilan. What's the big problem with this? With what the Gemara just said? I almost see that no one is about to ask this. I don't know. I thought I saw.
No, anything.
Oh. What is Rabbi Sharfin saying? The what?
No, the white could also be.
Oh, the white could also be tzemer. Tzemer. So that's the Gemara's question. Who cares? So it's not blue. Pretend this is white. You're allowed to put white wool tzitzis into your linen garment. There's no shatnez when it comes to tzitzis. This is fake. You're right. This is fake. So it's fake blue. So let's call it halachically, this is white. Halachically, it's white. What's the problem to put this into your linen tzitzis? There's no shatnez in tzitzis. And on that, the Gemara is going to answer, there is a problem. You could only put it in, the Torah is not makbid on shatnez when you're doing the mitzvah. But if you could do it another way, you put white linen tzitzis, to put white linen. Why are you using wool today when you don't have to? Only when it's tchelas, you're allowed to be over. Ask the Gemara, v'lo yela lavan. Great. What's he concerned? That this is fake. This is indigo. This is kala ilan. This is not the real murex or whatever it is. It's not the real chilazon. It's not the real cuttlefish. Whatever you want to call it. So it's no worse than white. And you're allowed to put in white wool into a linen garment because there's no shatnez when it comes to tzitzis. Says the Gemara, no. Since you can use linen tzitzis with a linen garment, lie. Then you're not allowed to put wool white. You have to put linen white. The only wool you're allowed to put in is real tchelas. And since this is not real tchelas, you're not allowed to use it because it's shlokish, like Rish Lakish says. If you have a conflict between an essay and a lois essay, if there's a way to get around it and you can do both, do both. So over here, since you can do both, in other words, use linen strings, so you can do both. Nobody told you to use wool white strings. The Torah told you to use blue wool strings. That okay, but it's not blue. This is fake. As a Gemara, what's the problem with the kuah? Do the test. This is like literally a urine test. You pour meraglaim on it, and it's part of the thing. We'll see in the Gemara it's basically like ammonia or whatever. It'll take bleach it out. It'll come out. That's what one of the rayas that this is real because this doesn't come out in the wash. The whole thing. The concern is that, as we saw in the video, that they take the garment and they put it into the vat of dye and they pull it out to see what color it is. What are they going to do? If you're in the time of the Gemara, you're not going to use a whole garment. Garments are very expensive. You take a tiny little string, put it in. Oh, it's the right blue. Guess what? Now I cannot use this as tzitzis. Why? Because when I put it into the dye, I didn't say l'shem it's tzitzis. I said l'shem to see if it's a test, to see if it's the right color. Once I put it in for that, I can't use it anymore. There has to be a kavana. Ask the Gemara. They should write letters to all the manufacturers and say, listen, do not pass off the test strings. Those test strings throw away. For tzitzis, we need something l'shem shamayim. Says the Gemara, listen, we're gonna rely Yiddishkeit on some letters. Omarava, yes, we do rely on letters. Hashta, daf mem omid beis. Hashta chometz bepesach v'yom kippurim dekaris. Samchina nadiske mamish nyona de yoma. When you do a double adar, so you have to let people in Chutz La'aretz know. So we send letters to Bavel, we send letters to America. By the way, there's a double. Don't do Pesach now. Do Pesach then. And it's a chiyuv kares if you eat chametz on Pesach. The second month, says the Gemara, what we rely on letters for the kares to tell us when Yom Kippur is, when Pesach is. So over here that we're talking about a lois asay of tzitzis. So of course people will listen to you and they won't pass off the fake ones or the tested ones as tzitzis. Ella, or marava. So what's the reason why, according we don't wear Beishamai doesn't wear tchelas in their linen? I said this. Like this is what the Rishivas got it from. Hamilsa Amri. I used to say, V'idma b'marava. Elo marava. Hamilsa Amri. I once said this. V'idma b'marava. Mishum de Rebbe Zeri Kavasi. And you should know that in Eretz Yisrael they said the same exact thing in the name of Rebbe Zera, just like me. What's the problem? Shemeyikoraz dinoi b'soich shalosh v'tfirenu. This is, I love this sugya because this is the sugya of Tasav Leminasi. There's some. What is that? I don't. It's like I have no idea. That was like very AI-ish. But basically, your thing got cut. So you're gonna sew it. You're gonna use a thread to sew it, and then I actually had in my tzitzis here. Mine was such a thread I found yesterday by mistake. Where was it? Here, perfect. I'll show the oil. Okay, you see this thread over here? You can see, this thread, what is this thread? This thread was part of what they sewed up this garment. Now, I'm a chacham, I take this thread and I make it into tzitzis. I can't do that. Why? Because I didn't insert the tzitzis for tzitzis. This is a thread that's part of the garment. That's called tasa. The Torah says do, create, v'leminase, and don't use something that was already created. So in Mela, he says, what's going to happen is that on this garment, this linen garment, you're going to use you're going to use the strings. His thing will get ripped. Meaning towards the corner. You're going to sew it. I don't want you to use strings that are there from sewing. And says the Gemara, as a side note, Shara Rebbe Zera Lizdine. Rebbe Zera took out the tchelas outside. He took it out of his garment. No more tchelas in his garment. In other words, that's what Rava said. Rava says, in Eretz Yisrael, they agreed to me. Who? Here, this Rebbe Zera. Rebbe Zera agreed to me because you see, the Rebbe Zera took out his tchelas from his garment. Rav Zera Amar. So the Machlokes Rashi tells us if it's the same exact person, because it says Rebbe Zera 3 words earlier, and it says Rav Zera. Rashi says the same person. Rav Zera Amar. Gzeira Nami Mishum Ksus Laila. If you wear this shatnez during the day, when it comes the nighttime, you'll forget, you'll wear it. Sometimes you fall asleep with your shirt. Now at night, you're not chayav in tzitzis. This machlokes is showing what a ksus laila is. Let's say according to Rashi, it means any garment that you're wearing, doesn't matter. Any garment that you're wearing at night, you're potter. Even so, if you wear pajamas during the day, you're chayiv. It's not the garment; it's the time of the day, day or night. The other Rishonim say no, this is a night garment. V'amarava, Chamilsa Amri. I said this once. Vitma b'marav Shmei the Rebbe Zera Kavasi, and Rebbe Zera said this in Eretz Yisrael just like me. He shall beg it if the entire garment is fabric. Uchnofel shalar. Somebody like reinforced the corners with leather. Chayeves, you're chayev in tzitzis. What if it's the reverse? You have an entire. We had a guy that used to sit right over here. He was in a motorcycle gang. He told us. He gave us once a whole speech for 45 minutes. My timer. So if the entire thing is leather and the corners are fabric, potter pturim and tzitzis, potter from tzitzis. My timer. Iker beged binan. You need that the main part of the garment is a beged is like linen or something, but not or. Or is potter. There's a whole nidon. What if you take leather and you chop it down and you make strings out of it and you make a clothing? Is that clothing? The whole thing machlokes. But Rav Choy argues. He says, no, we don't look at the garment. We don't look at the motorcycle jacket. We look at the corner. If the corner is made out of regular fabric, chay b'tzitzis. Check this out. Beautiful picture. You have a garment that only has 3 corners. Right now, it's potter from tzitzis. You inserted the tzitzis. Then you made it, look, you sewed on another triangle, whatever it's called, and you have made it square. Now you have 4 corners. What just happened? Tasav v'lo menachos. Why? Because you inserted the tzitzis before, they're chayiv. Now that you added and became chayiv in 4 corners, it's too late. The tzitzis are already in, and you have to put the tzitzis after it becomes chayiv. It happens also, you should know, you should ask your local rabbi, I'm pretty sure, if let's say sometimes the entire thing gets ripped. So you have to sew it, in order to make it kosher, you have to sew it. But guess what, all your tzitzis are still in the other corners, and it's tasif l'min also. It could be what happened to you?
That's exactly what the Gemara says.
Yeah, but I'm saying this becomes a practical case. It happens, something that's ripped so hard. Chasidim are Rishonim Kivin Sharguba Shalosh. Check this out. You're a chassid, meaning you're a person who does you're zar as a mitzvah, says Rashi. So you're holding over here. He's in the middle of making tzitzis. Yeah. He gets the 3 fingers wide. That's already like a beged, but it's not a beged that's roy to be misatif. So you're not chayv in tzitzis. Right now you're not chayv in tzitzis. Why? You can't wrap yourself with it. But here's the beautiful thing. Listen to this chap. How many corners are on this thing?
4.
I see 4 corners. Says Rashi, he only sees 2 corners. Why? Because the top corner, the top right corner, is about to disappear when he keeps on going on with the beged. He's in his mind, he's continuing on. He wants to be mevatel that corner. Says Rashi, he put on tzitzis on a 2-cornered beged. It's a riddle. How do you have a 4-cornered beged, which is really only 2 corners? The answer is because he's about to continue. He's going weiter. Check this out. He continues. In this case, look how much he did already. So says the Gemara, how the Chasidim Rishonim put on the tzitzis all the way in the beginning? In this case, right over here, it's mamash aser. It's tasif v'lo menachos. Kivin shargu b'shalish hayu matilin l'tcheila. So you see, there is no tasif v'lo menachos in tzitzis. They put it in there and they continue weiter, and it was mamish puzzle. It was not roy for tzitzis. Yet they still did it. The Chasidim, they're not amaratzim. Says Gemara, Eima kivin shapatu b'shalish hayu matilin l'tcheila. So we must say that what happened was that it was this case. That he was almost finished. He was this far away from ending. So that's why he went and he put the tzitzis in right away. He couldn't help himself. He's so excited to do the mitzvah. He put it in, and it's only missing that much, and that's okay. Because this much, 3 fingers worth, so then is already considered the beged is done, and Mamela, it's okay. By the way, it's 8:10 now, but we're only 51 minutes into this year. We started a little late. Umi Amrinan asked the Gemara, Tasif v'lo menachos. Is there a concept of tasif v'lo menachos? I just remember when I was a kid, I just loved this example, so I always use it. Is we learned in Masechet Sukkah. Person has a gadish, he has a pile of wheat, of hay, and he tunnels his way into the hay, and he creates a sukkah. It's possible. Why? Because he didn't put the schach on. The whole pile was there, and he just created a vacuum, a hole. You have to put the schach on, not that the schach was there before. Same thing over here. So do we say this isser of tasif v'lo menachos by tzitzis eini? This is gewaldic. Take a look. What do I have over here? I have tzitzis already sitting here. So what do? I don't like these tzitzis. They're not very good. That's why I'm using this. It's already frayed. You see over here, there's mamish. It's probably puzzle, but whatever. Let's pretend that it's 100% kosher. I go ahead, I'm taking a new new strings. I put 4. These are 4. What you see 1 is not true. There's enough. No, here, I do this. The Saber says, I have this guy, and I have brand new strings right over here. Brand new. What did I just do? Let's think about it. This is kosher. This whole thing is kosher. So I don't need new strings. Not only do I not need new strings, it's also for me to put new strings. Why? Bal Tosef. Peladik Chiddush and Tosefus. The Bal Tosef is only to do a brand new one of these. But let's say I did 5 strings instead of 4. If I would have asked you, you would have all told me it's Bal Tosef. Tosef says it's not Bal Tosef. 5th string is not Bal Tosef. Yeah, add another string. To add another kanaf, a whole shtickle, that's Bal Tosef. Fine, go into Tosef. That's something else. Take a look. I inserted these guys right over here when I shouldn't have. So this is not even tzitzis. And then I go like this. Take a look. Look, Rabbi, I'm going to rip it off. Boom, ripped it off. And now I'm left with my second pair. It's good. It's not Tav Elohim. Why? It's Tav Elohim Asui. It was on before. Beautiful. Mamish Gevaldik. Listen to this. Hittil Mutela, you added a whole nother tzitzis into a corner already had tzitzis. Kshera. So you see that there's no Tav Elohim Asui. There's no problem with Tav Elohim Asui. No, says Rava, my Rava. Hashta B'Bat Tosef Koi. Maisa Loi Havi. Says Rava Gevaldik Alumdus. Check this out. When I inserted this brand new one, what did I do? Nothing. 0. Because I wasn't allowed to. So I didn't do a maisa. There was no mitzvahs tzitzis that I did. When I ripped this off, I made a maisa on these tzitzis, says Rashi. It's not Taz Elohim Asui. The moment that I ripped it, I made the mitzvah. This is when I made it. Oh, so the problem is, then you could say that in every Taz Elohim Asui. When I dug out my sukkah in the hay pile, then I created my schach. Okay, so Taisus, they're trying to discuss it. But that's what he says here. That's what Rashi says. The maisa happens when I rip off the tzitzis. Not before, not the day before when I made the tzitzis, but when I rip off the tzitzis, then I created the new tzitzis, and that's why it's not Taz Elohim Asui. On that, Rav Papa just said, and then we're going to finish with this. Maskil Rav Papa, who told you what the guy was thinking? How do you know that the guy wanted to add another pair, and when he added another pair, he's actually not doing anything. He did 0. And when he ripped the first pair off, then the second pair became tzitzis. To me, it makes more sense, says the Gemara, and it does make sense, that when I add a second pair, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to cancel the first pair. Why am I adding another pair? It's all in the head. Yiddishkeit is all in the head. So if I decided to add another pair, then I was over. Again, if I add another pair, then I did 0. But if I was trying to be mevatel the first pair, then I didn't do 0. Then I did something important. And then ubal toisef leka ma'isa ika. Then you're right, it's not about toisef, but I did a. What did he do here? I feel bad that I'm not looking at all these things. What did he do here? Oh, here he added a second. I mamish didn't see these yet. He had a second pair of tzitzis, and then he removed the first. Okay, Givaldik. Well, have a Givaldik Shabbos.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.